And yes, we do, Scott. We have a very, very special surprise. We have two big male lions that are having a really serious nap. Now, it is a very warm welcome to the school that has joined us this afternoon, so Diamond Springs Elementary. It's wonderful to have you all with us, and I hope that you will love every minute of being out here, and you're already being spoilt with the shy, elusive leopard and the power of the two big male lions. So remember, you can ask lots of questions through your teacher, and you'll be able to then send them through, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. My name is Tristan, and on camera today I have got Fergus. There's Fergus's thumb. And so we are busy watching these two male lions. They've been here for most of the morning. They haven't really done too much today. It's a nice cloudy, overcast day, which means that they can sit under the cover of the clouds and don't have our biggest carnivore to our smallest carnivore. There's a little dwarf mongoose. So those are also meat eaters, much like the lions, except they are our absolute smallest of the whole entire area. And so those are very little compared to the lions. But they'll have to be careful of lions because lions ultimately can eat them, so they'll have to stay away. Although these two males, I think, are still very sleepy. They've got a situation where yesterday they were very busy. They killed a buffalo yesterday, and then they started to eat an impala that they stole from a leopard, and so they've got round bellies and they are tired because of that. Now the one closest to us, he's a very good looking male. He's about 7 years old, so he's slightly older than the one at the back. The one at the back is about 6 years, and it's not just the two of them. There should be 4 of them in total, but what happens is because they're dominant males and they move around quite a lot, you find that the other two might be somewhere else with another pride of lions, or they're checking the boundaries, trying to mark that so that other males don't come here and take their females and don't take all of the area that is theirs. So they're trying to protect it as much as possible, and that's why they spread. But look at how fluffy his mane is. Doesn't he have a beautiful mane? You can see it's quite dark on the chest and then lighter around the head. And look at those eyes. You see those eyes? He's just looking at us. So he's checking just to see what's going on. And the reason why he opened his eyes initially is not only because I'm talking, but there's some birds that are flying around here called swallows. Now, swallows are very fast birds and they fly very quickly, and one just now actually flew into the male at the back and hit him in the head and woke him up, which was very, very funny. So he got a big fright when the bird hit him, and so every now and then they come flying past and they then get a little fright as they hear these wings going over their head. And so if you watch carefully, every now and then maybe a bird will come over there. All the way from Europe to here in South Africa for the summer, because they're looking for insects. So where the summer is and the rain falls, then there's lots of insects, and in Europe it's too cold now, so they've got to come all the way down to South Africa, which is a 10-hour flight by plane. But for these swallows, you can imagine it takes much longer than that. Now, what the very interesting thing about the swallows, which hopefully, like I say, we'll see at some point, is that the swallow doesn't need to sleep when it flies all the way. So you can imagine it's now flying from, let's say, Spain all the way to South Africa, and the whole way it stays flying. It doesn't land or even try and find a place to rest. It will just continue to fly, and it will even sleep while flying. Isn't that amazing? I think it's absolutely fantastic. And there you can see our male lion is showing off his big teeth. So this particular male, his name is called Tinyo, and Tinyo is actually means a tooth in the local language. So it's a perfect name for him as he shows his big canines. If you can repeat it for me, please. That's very funny. I wonder why he's lying like that. I think it's because he's a bit hot with all of that mane, so he just opens his belly out so that he can get a little bit of cool breeze over it. Doesn't look as though it's very comfortable, does it? Although I think it seems to work for male lions. They seem to like doing it. So, Lance, you're asking, how do male lions sleep during the day? Well, basically what happens with a male lion, or any lions really, is that normally here in Africa it's very hot. And so and it's difficult for them to be able to move around. They're going to use lots of energy to try and stay cool because they'll have to pant, and that means they open their mouth and they breathe very fast. And so lions, instead of using all that energy, would rather go underneath a bush, and that's why they sleep during the day. So they try and find a bush somewhere where it's got lots of shade, and then they'll just fall asleep there, and they can sleep for as much as 20 hours in a 24-hour period, which is a long time. And the reason why, like I say, is because of the amount of energy that they use when they're hunting. So when they chase other animals, it means that they use a lot of energy, and it makes them very tired. And so then during the day they sleep, and then at night when it's cooler and it's darker and it's easier for them to hunt, then they wake up and start moving. So I'm sure these two are going to be very, very sleepy for now, and then you'll find when it starts to get around sunset, that's when they're going to start waking up, and their heads will be up, and they might even start to roar at that stage to try and tell everybody that they are here. So for now it's going to be a little bit of lazy lions, unfortunately, but you never know with them. Maybe something walks past. You could have something like a zebra or a buffalo that comes past, and that will definitely wake them up. Genesis, you're wondering why lions' eyes are different than people's eyes. Well, the reason is because our eyes are not designed very well to see at night. So we are able to see amazing colors because we like to see all the colors, and we're active during the day. We're not animals that are active at night. Whereas lions, they don't see very many colors. They don't see all the greens and blues and yellows and reds like we do. They see very, very muted colors. So what muted means is that there's very little color in what they're actually seeing, and so their eyes are designed to see much better at night. And so in their eyes you've got two types of cells. You've got rods and cones. So cones are for color. Remember, C for cones, C for color. That's the kind of cell that picks up color. And rods are light cells, so they pick up the amount of light. So lions have way more light cells, rod cells, than what our eyes do, so that they can see at night like we see during the day. Oh, whoopsie boy, did you just fall over? And so that's why their eyes are a little bit different. What is the same as us is you see that their eyes are on the front of their head next to each other. So we also have eyes like that, not like the antelope that have eyes on the side of their head. And the reason why their eyes are in the front is because they've got what's called binocular vision. Now, binocular vision means that they are able to judge distance. So they can work out how far a zebra or a buffalo is away from them, so that they can accurately determine or work out how to get to that animal without spooking it and being able to then hunt it. So they need their eyes on the front. Antelope, because they don't need to judge distance, they just need to spot if they see a predator. Their eyes are on the side of their head, so they can see all the way around them and pick up any predators if they're around. So that's why they have a different type of eye to the antelope, but their eyes in terms of how they see and how they kind of are able to see is very similar to us, because they are in the front of the head with both of those eyes facing forward. Right, now while I sit with our male lions and see, maybe they might wake up, maybe they won't, but either way it's really nice to see them and spend time with the king of the predators. Let's go back across to Scott, who is, I think, still with the leopard, and hopefully that little cub is coming out. I am indeed, and as you can see, very little has changed. It's still sleepy time for our male lions, and they are still very much taking it easy. The good thing is, though, it seems as though there's a little break in the clouds every now and then that might just get a bit warm, and hopefully that might mean one of them stands up and decides to move. You can see there, those little white flaring patches. Those are the areas where the cloud is breaking a little bit, and so maybe a little sunshine on them might invigorate them and just make them decide to stand up a little bit and hopefully move around. That would be nice, because for now it's all very much about sleeping, which is typical for lions, because at the end of the day they are busy animals at night. And these two males walked quite a long way last night. They ended up going into a neighboring area, and then they came all the way southwards, and so they must have moved, I would say, probably close to maybe 6 miles last night. So it's a long time, a long way for lions to walk, particularly lions that have big full bellies, and so I suppose they've earned their rest this morning. Now you may notice on this lion that he's got a very black tummy, so his tummy looks as though it's got no fur on it. Now that's because he's got something called mange. So mange is a type of insect that lives on the lions, and it eats at their hair follicles, and that's why it causes them to itch, and they then scratch too much and they take their fur off. So it's a little bit of mange that he's got in his tummy, but it's much better than it used to be. But you'll find every now and then he'll use that big paw just to scratch there, or he'll use his back legs a little bit to scratch as well, just to try and ease the kind of itch of that area, because the mites really make them very itchy. It's like, imagine having a flea on you or something that's crawling on you. Simply going to scratch at it to try and get rid of it. But look at that face. He's very funny, that lion. See, he's kind of lifting his head now. Maybe the little bit of warmth that's come out might mean that he decides just to get up and move into some shade. Hopefully that will be the case, because he's very sleepy now, and I want him to move around so you can see just how big they are compared to those leopards that Scott has on his side. Of course, also, Scott has a female leopard, so the male leopards are bigger. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll find a male leopard at some point this afternoon, because they also are around, and so you never know. Maybe we'll see one of them, and you can see then the size difference between all three of them. It's definitely getting much warmer now that that sun is starting to kind of poke its head out. And right, now, while I'm sitting here, and maybe I think I might move on a little bit and see what else I can find while these two are sleepy and still resting like this, let's go back across to Ralph in the Masai Mara, who I think has got the largest land animal out of any of them here in Africa.
Certainly do have two beautiful big mane lions, but they are very, very sleepy at the moment. And that one's just gone back to bed. He put his head up because there's a male impala not too far away that's alarm calling at them, the odd snort. This individual on our left, though, could be dead for all we know. Let's just make sure. No, he is breathing. We can see his belly gently moving up and down. But they are incredibly, incredibly relaxed. Now, by the time I left here, which was about a year and a half ago, I don't think we had named any of these males. They'd just kind of come into the area, and they hadn't all got their own personal identities yet, so I also haven't caught track of who's who just yet. So I'm not sure who these two are, but in the next few weeks and months I will do my best to try and work out who's who, and thankfully a lot of you will be able to help tell me who is who and possibly why they got their names. But what I can tell you is that they've grown into beautiful big males. When they initially staked claim over this area, they were still kind of coming into their prime, you could say, in terms of their appearance. Obviously, physically they were brutes, but their manes weren't nearly as big and impressive as they are now. And sadly, we didn't get to see much of their actual takeover. It would have been a wonderful thing to witness, and it's only something that happens about every 3 or 4 years on average. That would be your average time span for a coalition of male lions to reign dominant for, especially when you've got big coalitions like the 4 of these guys. There were 5 initially. One of them got killed along the way. But the 4 of them, even though there's only 2 here, they're part of a bigger team, will probably be dominant for another year or 2, and then another young coalition will come through and give them a hard time. Okay, so we've got Mfuko and Tinyo. And Mfuko's are pockets. Mutsuko. Oh, Ntsuko. What does Ntsuko mean? I'm looking back at Senzo. He's got a blank look on his face. It's definitely not Zulu. It must be a Shangaan term, which is the local tribe in this area. So I'm not sure what Ntsuko means. I'm sure some of you will be able to help us with that. Thank you for those of you who have told us who these guys are. Tinyo means tooth, I'm pretty sure. So one of that would be too much. Imagine seeing a lion with a gold tooth. And exactly, thank you for reminding me, Angela. There was one of the coalition members was named when they kind of first came into the area, and we called him Scrapper. He had some crazy eyes, and he was actually the individual that died, if I'm not mistaken. So sadly, he didn't make it through, but he certainly... I remember him running into a old buffalo kill that I think the Nkuhumas were feeding on. It took us completely by surprise. I think I was with Jandre on camera. I can't remember exactly, but whoever was on camera with us did well to swing the camera around quickly. And we got I think it actually was Wildebeest, aka VM, which VM is his real name. Wildebeest is his nickname, but that's what we all call him, because he grunts like a gnu when he communicates. And and we got an incredible scene of Scrapper charging in to the kill and sending the Nkuhumas scattering. That was when the Nkuhumas still weren't certain of who these new rogue males. Come on, boys, I think it's time for you guys to wake up. Okay, thanks very much, Isliz and a few others, for confirming that Ntsuko means gold, due to the color of his mane. Very good. Thank you for your help. I do really appreciate it. What I would also appreciate, like I was trying to convince these two old chaps to give us a roar, I'm not feeling confident that it is going to happen in the next 10 minutes, though, sadly. Hopefully they prove me wrong. I'm trying to reverse their psychology quickly, but it doesn't seem to be working. Tristan seems to think that they are going to roar tonight. His exact terminology was roar their guts out, which I thought was quite a good way of expressing how a big male lion does really let rip when they roar, because they really do get their whole body into it, and a lot of it does come from deep down in their gut. So I'm hoping Tristan's predictions are right. What we might do is come out after drive and bring some of the crew that are stuck in their final control, who don't get to get out and get the wind in their hair with us. So we'll maybe come out before dinner and sit here, and maybe we'll get lucky with them. So that's something to look forward to. Hello, Joy in Hong Kong. You would like to know if we have got all the drives archived in kind of date order, chronological order, from when they first started. And they must be archived. I'm almost 90% certain they are. The cameraman only filmed the really impressive bits in high resolution. All of the drives will be recorded in their entirety, but they're not at the best resolution, but I guess it's still decent. And to be honest, I don't really know what I'm even talking about, so I don't know why I'm answering this question. But Joy, they must be somewhere. What we can do is, or what you can do is, if you'd like, you can just send a message to suggestions. I think that's the email address, at WildEarthTV, and you can just ask or /suggest what is the deal. I'm guessing you're wanting to look back on some old footage, but if you generally just type in anything in YouTube, you can typically find a lot of the old stuff that's either be archived by us or by old viewers, but there's not much that you won't find even on YouTube, just by digging a little bit in the history there. So let us know, Joy, what exactly you're hoping to find, and maybe we can try and work out better for you how to go about it. Hello, First Lady. You wondering if I think there's any other coalitions that could be putting any pressure on these Birminghams or possibly taking their place. And not that I am aware of. I haven't heard any whisperings of any possible threats to them. But, you know, a lot happens to the north of us in a reserve called the Manyaleti, where, you know, we're not too in the loop of what exactly is arrive tomorrow. From the south, within the Sabi Sands, I also don't know of any large coalitions at the moment. But to be honest, I've been out of this area for so long that I'm probably in it's like the Joy's question before on the archiving. Be asking about the ongoings, even in the Sabi sands around us. I haven't been following the movements of these animals too closely while I've been away in Kenya. So Tristan will definitely be able to shed more light on this. He's got his finger in a lot of the gossip pies regarding the animals, and he's got a great network of friends that provide him with a lot of useful information. So why don't you guys head across to him and speak to the professor himself? Yes, I am the professor of ice cream and toppings. Thank you, Tristan, for that. No changes here, everyone. But to be honest, we've had... Oh, there's a bit of movement. Oh, well done. Well done, buddy. Thank you for doing that for us. That was an incredible wildlife scene as the lion moved its head ever so gently in the grass. But we have had an incredible afternoon to be able to see a whole family of leopards in 2 different sightings. Tingana with Tristan up in that tree with a kill, and of course Tundi with, I think, what was an incredible sighting of that little fluffy furball of a cub. Let's hope that everything stays well and safe with that cub, because it is still in a very, very vulnerable stage of its life. Least another 6 weeks' time, we will hopefully have it, 30 or 40% more likely of making it to an adult. And also we'll start seeing it out and about more, and we'll have to be a little bit less delicate when we're around it. And this afternoon was a good start to habituating it to us being around. So it was an absolutely incredible time. For those of you who weren't with us, I do apologize. You'll just have to keep trying to log in or watch the highlights, I guess. But it has been a wonderful afternoon in the Sabi Sands. And of course, you also got to explore the Mara with Ralph and Taylor. So all in all, I think it was a great safari, and it was great to have you guys along for the ride. I'm not entirely sure who's out and about tomorrow morning amongst the various crew members, but I know I am, and I'm already looking forward to it. I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be heading straight to Tundi's den, unless, of course, Tristan would like to go, because it will be his turn to go there, seeing as though it was my turn today. Of course, in an exciting scene like that, we will share the magic. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoy the last few seconds of silence and tranquility. We'll see you next time.